And we're live. Hello. Welcome, Ramley and other family. I am Peo Time, and I am here to talk some football. I have brought in one of my great football friends, Chris. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on again, Zach.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here on this Saturday night. And to those of you watching, we're glad you're here also. Whether you're watching this live right now or on the rewatch, please hit that like button, subscribe if you hadn't, and we're going to do some fun stuff. And we are going to start off with a bit of a game, if that's okay with you, Chris.
Sounds wonderful.
All right. But before we do, we just have a couple of early birds here I want to give shout outs to. So North Dallas 40, thanks for tuning in. He said, I'm the first post. That's awesome. And then we got Rob here. He's saying random occurrence. Yeah, just sort of decided today. Let's go live. Normally I do a Sunday stream, but I'm part of a bocce ball tournament tomorrow. So I will not be able to do that. But Jay in the Bay, a 49ers fan. So glad you're here. He's saying what's good. North Dallas is saying you shaved. Yeah, it was really hot, and I knew people were gonna mention it, but it was really hot here in Canada, and I haven't shaved in a long time, so I was like, you know what, let's get a fresh start. But for those of you who missed the beard, don't worry, it grows back really fast. Rams House, happy 4th of July to you and all of our American friends. I guess it is a bit early. I guess that's tomorrow for you guys. We had Canada Day on July 1st. And then it's always exciting for America to celebrate 4th of July. And then Looter Chris, hey, how's it going? Looter Chris, so glad that you are here with us today. Glad with everyone here. So we're going to start off with a game here called Ranking the NFL Lies. So maybe not the most creative names here, but I am going to there's a special guest. Chris, who's
Nala?
Who's this?
This is Nala.
Oh, hey Nala, what's up? Anyway, in this game, we have a couple of the top off-season headlines from this past 2021 NFL season, and we are going to rank from how true they were to that is just a mega lie. And so, Chris, I'm putting you on the hot seat. Are you ready for this?
I am.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, and chat. Feel free to interject here. We would love to know what you guys think about any of these headlines or any rumor or lie that you heard this off season. We want to talk about it tonight. So the first one I want to talk about, and so I'll take it here and I'll enlarge it. You see this okay?
I can see that, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm hoping the chat can see it. So this is by Jeff Benedict over 2 months ago. And I'll admit, I this one kind of it's light, but I thought it's a good one to start off with. That Kyle Pitts doesn't believe he will be drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. And now for all these headlines, I tried not to make them super speculative. These were a reporter truly, like, they had a source that said someone said this or this happened. I have a hard time believing that Kyle Pitts looked at, it was pretty much guaranteed 3 quarterbacks were going top 3. And Chris, do you honestly believe that Kyle Pitts didn't believe he was going to get drafted by the Falcons?
I remember reading this headline actually, and it was not just because I'm not sure who Jeff Benedict is, but I remember reading this from other national reporters, and I remember the quote: Kyle Pitts did not believe he was going to get drafted by the Falcons, and I mean, he did.
Yep. So, what? Breaking news.
Breaking news. But I think at that point there was a lot of talk about the Falcons going quarterback because they had to keep their quarterback for 2 more years, and that way they could groom this guy. So when he's done, they're fully prepared with their new quarterback. And And yeah, so it was one of those draft rumors, but when it comes out from the player, you kind of have to take it to a little more truth, I think.
Okay, but like I don't know. I think I agree with you. We'll put it more towards this way. We're gonna shrink it down a little bit so it fits. But
Yeah.
my thing is like Kyle Pitts has to have an agent who's talking to teams and being like, okay, if and the Falcons probably were trying to shop the pick, but your agent has to be telling Kyle, hey Kyle, if the Falcons don't shop the pick, it's probably gonna be you.
Yeah, I would think so because he was obviously one of the best players in the draft.
Yeah.
As far as college careers go.
I know you as a Dolphins fan, you wanted Kyle Pitts to drop to you at 6.
Yeah, I actually was hoping that he would still be there. I thought he would be great because I think he's a guy because I don't think he's going to be that typical tight end either, right? I think he's going to line up everywhere for the Atlanta Falcons. So, to have a guy that big, that runs that well, that's that athletic, I mean, he could definitely be a game changer.
For sure. Well, to our next headline, and of course we had to put something about Aaron Rodgers on here. So this was April 29th, so super close to the draft. And this was reported by a lot of sources, but the one that seemed to report it first was this guy, Randy Oliver. And for all these headlines, I tried to trace it back to like the original source. So this is rumor. 49ers have made a massive trade offer to Packers for quarterback Aaron Rodgers. So this is after the Niners have traded a lot of picks to go up to number 3. And if you read the article that this headline was on, they said that the Niners offered the number 3 overall pick, Jimmy Garoppolo, and future like second round picks. And I think they had reported that a player was involved also. Chris, is this a mega lie?
Yeah. I'd put this in the mega lie category.
Yeah.
When it happened. How do you, because as a Dolphins fan, they traded their first pick this year, next year, a couple other picks to the Dolphins to get up to 3.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, actually, yeah, because we have San Francisco's pick next year and the year after. So there was multiple firsts involved. If you're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, those multiple ones were going to go to Green Bay.
Yeah, no, those multiple ones were gonna be a complete waste if the Niners did this. Yeah, sorry, you cut out for a sec there, Chris.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't mean to cut you off if I did.
I was done.
Our next headline, and I always mispronounce this guy's name, but he's with ESPN. Dan Granzino. He said, so this is February 25th. He said, per sources, Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson met with new Texans head coach David Culley last Friday. In that meeting, Watson reiterated that he wants to be traded and told Culley he has no intentions of playing for the Texans again. No change from Watson ends. He remains dug in. Now, this is obviously before we found out about the lawsuits and everything like that coming. So we won't spend a lot of time talking about this just because there's so much mystery around the Deshaun Watson situation. But this was kind of the time where David Culley had been hired. And so I'm not questioning that David Culley met with Watson. But what I'm asking you is how much truth do you think there is to it that Deshaun Watson had made up his mind? There is no way I'm playing for the Texans again.
Well, I think this is 100% truthful. I mean, at this point, February 25th, they were a literal dumpster fire. They had no picks this year. Mm-hmm. So you can't even start the rebuild till after next season, like after this next season is over.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun Watson's into his second contract. It's going to take them 3 to 4 more years to to build to be even. I don't know, maybe not 3, maybe 2 to 3 years to even contemplate getting to the playoffs.
Yeah. So you're saying there's truth to this one?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll stick it over here. Okay. This is a fun one here. Okay. Mike Florio, our good friend, who has been Ram fans have not been happy with him recently. On January 3rd, he said, "Report: Patriots Cam Newton are expected to part ways." Now, first off, it's really early in the offseason to be declaring this. And if you read this article back then, Mike Florio sourced some of his contacts, like alleged contacts, that Cam didn't want to come back to the Patriots, and the Patriots didn't want Cam back. Chris, obviously, Cam is now re-signed with the Patriots. So at the time, do you think there's any truth to this? Did Mike Florio actually have an insider that thought this was going to be the case?
No, I have no. Mike Florio doesn't. He doesn't put out a lot of good news. I mean, I don't think Cam Newton was happy with his season last year. I'm sure the Patriots weren't happy with his season last year. But I'm not sure what other way they were going to go.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was much truth to this one at all.
Yeah.
Especially it's like you said, you made a great point. This was on January 3rd.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't even gone through the tape from last year yet, evaluate all the different players to see what's going on. I mean, that was a pretty quick we're going to get rid of Cam story.
Yeah, so we're going to put this with the mega lies here, okay? Okay. We'll go to this one next. So this is The Athletic, and they reported on March 29th. I think the majority of people around the league believe this is for Mac Jones. So this quote came from an article shortly after the Niners made the trade.
Yeah.
And it was the reason why I went this. There were so many analysts and journalists out there that were saying the Niners are taking Mac Jones. The Niners are taking Mac Jones. And this is the original article that I kind of traced that rabbit trail back to. And it was on their Twitter account, but they in their posts, they say that 98% of the league, or like the league's managers, believe that the Niners are taking Mac Jones. And I remember talking with like every NFL fan that they're not taking Mac Jones, that they were either going to take Justin Fields or Trey Lance. I only ever heard journalists talking that the Niners were going to take Mac Jones. So and I know with NFL draft, there's always rumors and lies, and that's the game or whatever. But Chris, did The Athletic have any reliable source saying that Mac Jones was going to be the pick for the Niners?
Oh, no. Usually smokescreen doesn't come out this early, but I remember seeing this as well and thinking this was hilarious. You just gave up like 3 first-round picks for Mac Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, he played in Alabama. He had quite a good team around him. And, I mean, Fields looked so much better than him on the field certain games. It was – so, I don't know where this one came from.
Okay, well, we're going to put this with the mega lies over here. All right, we got just a couple more here. But let's take a quick gander at this is a great one from your good friend, Jason Lacafora.
Yeah.
So on March 17th, he said, as the great Dan Patrick Show reported, Bears offered 3 firsts and a 3 for Russell Wilson plus players. I'm told Seattle was offered a swath of players to choose from, including Mack, Hicks, with the possibility of one more could be dealt. But picks aren't that high and no QB for Seattle. Truth or mega lie here, Chris? Did the Bears offer this huge package to get Russell Wilson?
Yeah, not a chance. I mean, 3 ones, a second, Khalil Mack, and a couple other players.
A 3, but yeah.
Well, 3. Sorry, a 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, that package in itself, like Khalil Mack can stay with the Seattle Seahawks, and you take those 3 ones, and all of a sudden you've just moved up into the top 10. You can have one of the quarterbacks from this year if you really didn't want to be with Russell Wilson anymore.
Yeah, and like I think the Bears offered a trade. I think that we had enough reports this, but maybe this amount of a bounty of a trade, I don't think so. Maybe this is the one we'll put kind of in the middle. That there was something there, but like, come on.
That's a trade that I think Seattle makes all day long.
Like if he would have 3 first-round picks, because if the Bears had the 20th pick, it would have been their first-round pick next year, the first-round pick the year before, and a third-round pick in there somewhere, plus Khalil Mack and Hicks and some other players.
I know.
That's just, I don't think a team offers that amount, but if you were to offer that amount, Russell Wilson would be one of the players you do that for.
And he'd also be a Chicago Bear right now. If you literally offered that much, yes, that would have been it. Okay,
this is our final draft headline by Tom Pelissero. And he said several teams have been making calls about getting into the top 10 of next week's draft. So this is a week before the draft, including the Patriots, who could have their eyes on Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields if he began to slide. So, Chris, I don't think that there's anything like crazy about the teams wanting to make phone calls about moving up into the draft, but seeing that how far Justin Fields slid in the draft, so the Bears did eventually trade up to get him.
Yeah.
Do you think that Justin Fields had a legitimate shot at being a top 10 pick, seeing that 3 quarterbacks went with the first 3 picks?
Yeah, I think this is a tweet that he has on saved, and he just changes the Patriots and whoever the player is, and he just puts it out every year, because every year there's several teams making calls about getting into the top 10 for a certain player. And it's the Justin Field thing was weird for me because, I watched him play some games and he looks like he's an excellent quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch that game. I guess it was the semifinals against Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I would have thought that he would have gone earlier than he did. I kind of thought the 49ers might have picked him at 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was a little surprised when Justin Fields fell that far.
Yeah, me too. I think we're gonna say we'll give old Tom here a little bit of grace.
Yeah,
but we'll put him in the middle here because this obviously was a lot of clickbait here.
Oh, for sure.
All right, our final headline that we're gonna look at, and then we're gonna get to the comments, is there are roughly 10. Okay, you know what? This is our final. So Adam Scheffner, he said there are roughly 10 quarterbacks locked into starting jobs. And sorry, I didn't date this. This was tweeted out on January 28th. There are roughly 10 quarterbacks locked into the starting job for opening day of 2021 this season. This is expected to be an unprecedented movement. My over-under of teams changing QBs this offseason is 18. I'll go with over. I asked you if this was a truth or lie. Scheffner was dealing in a lot of speculation. He's talking to people. This was at the beginning of the offseason. We're just let's just count how many starting quarterbacks actually, like what starting quarterback next year. And I'm curious, before we count, Chris, what is your guess? I know the answer.
Well, on this date in January, I mean, I would have guessed 6 at the most.
6, okay. And
let's put it this way: if I was a gambling man, and Schefter put this out with odds, I would have put as much money as humanly possible on the under of 18 quarterbacks, teams changing quarterbacks in the offseason.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So let's find out how many. So we know that. So Buffalo's got the same starter. Miami technically will have a new starter from last season,
but was the starter as of week 7?
Yeah,
9?
But you know what? Let's go with Schefner from what he implied, because from the starting quarterback from 2020. Okay, so the Dolphins technically are 1, right?
Okay, if you read it like that, I would say it's more. I'd still say it's under 18, but yes, yeah.
Okay, Patriots. We're gonna say they're probably gonna have Cam starting again.
Yep.
The Jets have a new quarterback and probably Zach Wilson. I hope so for what they drafted him for.
Yeah.
Steelers sticking with Big Ben, Jackson, Mayfield. Wow, the entire AFC North is keeping their quarterbacks.
Yes.
Then the Titans. Wentz is with the Colts.
Yeah.
We're going to assume the Texans are going to get a new starting quarterback.
Right.
And the Jaguars are going to have a new starting quarterback unless Gardner somehow beats out Lawrence. But
could you imagine if that actually happened?
That would be outrageous. Wow. Okay, so we're at 4. Okay, or sorry, 5. And then Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers technically because they had Tyrod there. Okay, so 6. Are we saying the Broncos are going to have Drew Lock? Or do you think Bridgewater?
It's an open competition, so I mean, that one's a 50-50, right?
Okay, you know what? We'll give it to Bridgewater. Okay, so we're at 7 teams.
Yeah.
Washington has a new quarterback. 8 teams. Giants will probably still have Daniel Jones. Cowboys will have Dak.
Right.
Eagles are going to have Hurts now. So, okay, 9 teams. Green Bay.
you got to say it's Aaron.
We're going to assume it's Aaron.
Yeah.
We're going to assume, okay. Then we're at 10 teams with the Bears because it'll either be Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. Vikings have Cousins. Lions will have Jared Goff. So we're at 11 teams.
Yeah.
Saints will have a new quarterback. So 12 teams.
Yeah, I forgot about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tampa is probably going to stick with Brady.
I think so.
Carolina will, because Bridgewater's gone. They'll have a new quarterback. So we're at 12. Sorry, did I say 12?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 12 teams. Falcons are sticking with Matt Ryan. Seahawks, surprisingly, are sticking with Russell Wilson. The Rams have Matthew Stafford now, so 13 teams. And then the Cardinals have Kyler Murray still, and we're going to assume that Jimmy G sticks with the Niners.
Right.
So 13 teams is under 18 teams. Wait, let me check my math. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 13 is lower than 18.
Right.
Does that check your math out, Chris?
But what he says is of teams changing quarterbacks this offseason. So technically, the Dolphins didn't change their quarterback. There was another team on there that didn't change their quarterback either because technically he played for them last year.
It was the Chargers with Herbert, yeah.
So the Herbert was the Chargers one, yeah. And I mean, even if you, I mean, this is now just sort of semantics. But who was the starting quarterback in Philadelphia at the end of last year?
Technically Hurts, but yeah.
And so who's going to start this year?
Hurts, yeah.
Hurts. So they're not changing their quarterback this year.
You're right. So it's actually less than 13 even.
So it's even less the way he wrote it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's just that's a huge QB carousel.
So, but here's the thing with this tweet from a guy like Adam Schefter, who curious. This is what started the buzz of like the entire NFL offseason, right? You had the Russell Wilson drama, you had the Deshaun Watson, the Aaron Rodgers, the Matthew Stafford, like all of these like I heard a rumor of Dak Prescott being traded.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Like just all this stuff came, and I think it started January 28th when Schefter, tweeted this out.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing like on Pro Football Talk and Rich Eisen about this, but anyway, we're going to put this in the mega lie category.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Schefter used to just only tweet out factual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Schefter was the kind of guy that never really went with rumors and hearsay, and I loved him because he didn't do all that stuff. He wasn't just for clickbait. Yeah. And I read something he wrote the other day saying about how Aaron Rodgers was going to use the COVID rule on July 2nd.
For sure. Yeah. Well, you know what, Chris? Let's get into it here. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for playing the game. And we have a couple of comments here coming in. So let's see here. So Jay in the Bay is saying, I think my 49ers were interested in A. Rodgers, but the Packers are hell-bent on not trading Rodgers. So yeah, the call maybe happened, but I don't think the Niners offer this crazy amount of picks, including the number 3 overall pick, right? But
I think that's crazy. I think it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
especially after they made the trade. If you had said that before they traded all those picks to Miami, I would put more stock into that.
Yeah,
but
and even if the Niners were interested in the Packers. Like just because the Niners don't have that much draft capital after the Miami trade, the Packers would have used the Niners as leverage to get other teams to pay more for Rodgers.
Oh, I think so for sure.
Mm-hmm. But Jay in the Bay also said Watson is done in Houston. We'll see, Jay. We'll see. I've been trying to track down a Texan fan to come on my Move series, and I found one who actually believes Deshaun Watson will play for the Texans this year. Unfortunately, he still didn't want to come on my show, but that was an interesting hot take from a Texans fan.
I kind of agree with Jay. I think he's done.
Yeah.
In Houston. It really sounds like it. But with his legal issues right now, they have no leverage. None whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, you can't trade a guy that I think it's all civil lawsuits. I don't think he's facing any prison time.
Yeah.
But if he was, he's still going to get suspended by the NFL at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Well, we have the Sports Star. Welcome, Tennessee Titans fan in the house. And he's saying, what up, man? Happy 4th Eve. Yeah, happy 4th of July. I know Chris and myself, we are Canadians, so we don't celebrate it the same way that our American friends do. But we're excited for you, and we definitely wish you and all of America happy 4th of July. Let off some fireworks for us. We got William. Welcome to the stream. He's saying PA resident, loyal to LA. 53 years with the original pioneer Rams, Lakers, and Dodgers, baby. Whoa, I celebrate your fandom, William. That is awesome. He also said, never rooted for any other team anytime in my life, never a bandwagon. And Chris, isn't that the best? I love hearing that.
Me too. Because I am not a bandwagon jumper. I am a fan, and my teams usually suck. So I suffer a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? It's cool when they win, right? You know.
I'll let you know when it happens.
Yeah. And we got, hey, CG Ruthless Sports, a 49ers fan, awesome YouTuber. I'm excited. I'm actually doing a collab stream with him on Monday night. And so definitely go check that out, folks, over on his channel. Thank you so much, CG. I got a notification that you shared this stream on your community tab. And that just means so much to me. Thank you so much. You do so much to help other small YouTubers out that talk football, and just, yeah, big fan of CG Ruthless Sports. Everyone should be subscribing to him. And he's asking, what happened to the beard? Yeah, I was saying earlier in the stream, it's been really hot, and it was getting really gross. I was eating some chicken wings the other night, and it just got all saucy in there. And I'm like, you know what? It's been a while. I'm going to go clean shaven. It probably started off, I was just going to trim it. And then I messed up trimming it and took like a chunk out. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just clean shave. But don't worry. If you guys are like, he's hideous now, don't worry. It grows back fast. Bay Area Baller 18. 49er Empire Overload. Hey, I love, when all, Niners fans or Seahawks fans, Dolphin fans, everyone is welcome here. I am a football fan first, and I believe, Chris, you would agree to that. You just love talking football with anyone.
That is true. I do enjoy football.
So they got some people talking to each other up here, which is awesome. Love it. I'm still rocking the beard. Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah. So I am curious. I'm going to ask all of our viewers here, and what off-season storyline. Maybe it was around the draft. Maybe it was around the Niners. Maybe it was around the Rams or any other team. What was a off-season headline or rumor that you heard that was a bold-faced lie? And now, Chris, you were talking to me a bit off camera earlier today. What had you heard that was just a bold-faced lie about the Dolphins?
I just read the other day that Lack and Four had come out and said that Brian Flores is on the hot seat this year.
Oh yeah.
So he went from like 4 wins to 10 wins, and he's on the hot seat. Like his seat is very cold right now. Like even whatever happens this year, his seat's really cold still. I mean, they're not gonna even think about canning him for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, so I find that more and more it's clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, this is really slow. But there was some real news, right? Like 3 teams were fined from OTAs, and there was actually some real news. I guess no one really cares about it, so we're gonna go back to the Aaron Rodgers is going to retire on July 2nd with Adam Schefter, and Flores is going to get fired by the Dolphins if they don't do well. And
well, and it's funny when you think about like the Flores thing, right? Because like he's been like he was a 10-win coach last year, 4 wins the year before. Yeah. Well, how many games did the Dolphins win the year before that?
Yeah, it wasn't many.
And they had Gaze then, right? Adam Gaze.
I can't even remember, to be honest with you, because the Dolphins are one of those teams that are been, they always hover around 500.
Yeah.
So I remember the seasons when they're really bad, or if they're over 500, right? Other than that, they all just blend together at some point. But
like you've had Adam Gaze before that. You had Joe Philbin, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I can't even remember the head coach before that, right? Do you remember?
Do you know what? I can't remember. And I mean, so then I think it was Wanstead prior to that. And then Jimmy Johnson. And it's just, yeah.
They blend together.
It wasn't even the fact that, the Dolphins only – so 2 years ago, they won 4 or 5 games, sorry. And so – but they were blown out at the beginning of the year. Like those first 2 games they lost.
I remember that, yeah.
115-10.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating. That they lost like 57-3,
They were
53
terrible.
to 10.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those teams weren't even competitive.
Yeah.
Right. And so he puts in his systems. They start playing better. They actually looked like a respectable football team at the end of the year. They won. Well, so they did finish 5-11.
Right.
They won 5 of their last 9 games. Right. Last year, they changed quarterbacks. They go to Tua. I think if they wanted to make the playoffs, that was the wrong call, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was ready physically to play.
Yeah.
But they probably wanted to see what they had, and they knew that they were going to him anyways. And so, but they still won 10 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you tell me that this coach is on the hot seat? Like, to me, it's insane, because when you hear the writers talk about Flores, like the beat writers from Miami, who are not the nicest, right? They put the team down quite a bit, and they're fairly high on him. Right, they think that, and the players seem like they really like him, and he's not he's a hard nosed. I'd almost say he's kind of like a Mike Tomlin,
Yeah,
who is a hard nosed players coach, but he's still tough as nails.
Yeah. And Chris, I am going to pivot just slightly here, because there is another bit of news that happened. It dropped this morning. It is the smallest, this is the epitome of June NFL news. And it is about the LA Rams. It's legit. According to Aaron Rodgers' Instagram page, there were 2 Rams that were working out with him in Malibu.
And who were the 2 Rams?
The 2 Rams were Nick Scott and Micah Kaiser. And I do you know what's funny is I remember seeing it, and I had it sent to me by North Dallas 40. And if you're still here, North Dallas 40, thank you for that. But then I went over to his Instagram, and I'm like, oh, and as a Rams fan, I got excited about it. At first I was like, oh, they're working out, and then I read the details, and it was like a sponsored workout where they're running up this sand dune on the beach in Malibu. And
not even throwing to them.
No. This is literally them running up a hill, and I got excited about it.
Yeah.
And it was just funny because, Aaron Rodgers on his Instagram, he was trolling Micah Kaiser, saying that he beat him in a foot race up the hill, and it was all in good fun. But it is good to see Rodgers is still working out, even though he's not going to mini camp, he's still working out. But it is cool seeing your team work out with other superstars from other teams. And yeah.
Well, I was watching on YouTube. They had the worst thing about being a Miami Dolphins fan is that there's a lot of NFL players that train in Miami in the offseason.
Right.
And so I was watching this DB camp. And there was probably 6 or 8 excellent defensive backs there at this, and it's in Miami. Mm-hmm. So Xavier Howard was there too, and I think it was Noah Igbenani with the 2 from the Dolphins, right? But there was 2 of the first round picks that went this year, and there was a couple other really good guys that are good starters in the NFL. But you could say, oh, they're all going to play in Miami then, because they're in Miami working out, which tended to happen years ago. Which is the dumbest thing in the world, because I'm not quite sure how you fit that many defensive backs on the field all at one time.
Mega prevent defense,
I think so.
CG Ruthless Sports, Chris, is giving you a little bit of a compliment here for your Fins. He's saying Dolphins building up a great foundation, especially in the draft. This is how the Patriots do it.
Yeah, I agree with him, and it's interesting because I think we talked about this on the last podcast, was the coaching trees or some coaching trees, and Belichick's has not been successful.
No, yeah,
he has not had one successful guy go somewhere else, and I think because they all tried to take his way, but he's the only Bill Belichick. Yeah. You take certain things, and so I think what Flores has taken is basically we build it properly, you do it right. And you build the foundation, and you you get players and then they grow from year 2 to 3 or 1 to 2 so much that your team definitely improves.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we're caught up on the comments there, so we're gonna pivot ever so slightly to talk about something that I know, a show that you love and I love and many people love, is the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah.
And I don't think Rich Eisen is rarely. I don't think he's ever the one to break any news, like ever, unless someone like a guest on his show says something on his show, right? But what I do appreciate about Rich Eisen is he is someone who can make a mountain out of a molehill like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I believe he did this in watching the Jaguars' new offensive coordinator. I believe it's Schottenheimer. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat or Chris. Anyway, but Schottenheimer in a press conference, he had a very offhanded comment on that Trevor Lawrence still has a lot to learn to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And there were a couple of hot take journalists who, they escalated this to like Trevor Lawrence might not start week 1 for the Jaguars. And Rich Eisen had a fantastic, he's had a couple of videos about this now where he's talked about it, but the first one was the funniest. And he's just like, Jaguars? Are you kidding me? And because if you followed him, he really wanted Trevor Lawrence to go to the Jets. But it was so funny seeing him make this mountain out of a molehill of like, is Trevor Lawrence really not ready to play in the NFL? Like, is Gardner giving him is this a competition?
Yeah.
And I just thought this is the epitome of like a June NFL storyline.
Oh yeah, this is like, I don't know of any rookie quarterbacks that don't have a lot to learn going from college to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that is a logical comment a coach made, saying that he has a lot to learn, which is 100% accurate. Yep. He has a lot to learn. But it's a slow news season, and they need to keep their jobs all year round.
Yeah.
And so therefore you're making stuff out of nothing, and that is 100%. Although being the Jacksonville Jaguars, would it not somewhat suit them if they did get it wrong and Trevor Lawrence ends up being just a bust or an average NFL quarterback?
It's weird. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a big college football guy. I really only pay attention to college football because of people who follow the draft tell me this prospect is looking really good. And I remember hearing about Trevor Lawrence a couple of years ago out of Clemson. And I remember being like, okay, I'm going to look this guy up. And you look up and this guy is a walking highlight reel.
Yeah.
And good guy on and off the field. And just, he's a winner. There's the crazy stat that he's never lost a regular season game in high school or in college. He's only ever lost playoff games.
Yep.
That's insane. Right now, he's definitely going to be losing with the Jaguars in the regular season.
I can't remember who they play week 1, but he might get his first. Might be week 1 where they lose. But
they actually play the Houston Texans.
Oh my goodness! It's going to go on for an extra week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there, that you make an interesting point. See, I started following the draft intently about 4 or 5 years ago because the Dolphins were always sort of picking high, and it was the only. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I started following a lot of Alabama was because Tua was that guy, right? And then Joe Burrow had his big year. Tua got hurt in that year, and so, but he was the same way, right? Even the way he entered college, right? He came in the second half of the national championship game. It was the first time he had played any serious minutes, and he ends up winning the game in overtime, right, on a 50-yard bomb touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's always these guys that come in, and you just never know what's going to happen. But
Well, and like something that no one likes to talk about because it is a difficult thing is so like take this year's crop of first round quarterbacks, right? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, right?
Yep.
So 5 taken in the first 15 picks.
Yeah.
The odds of all 5 of these being starting caliber quarterbacks consistently are very slim.
It is. It's like I think you might have one.
Yeah, right? Like and it's tough because you look at you go on YouTube, look up the highlights for any one of these guys, and they look good. Right?
Yeah. I mean, Trevor Lawrence played against serious competition.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields played against serious competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mac Jones obviously played against serious competition too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Zach Wilson for me is the one that I'm sort of scratching my head on that one.
Yeah,
that to me is the head scratcher. I understand the Trey Lance thing. He's got all the athletic tools, small school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially with Josh Allen really helped that pick.
Yeah.
Right? Josh Allen did not look good years 1 and 2 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like his statistics are terrible from high school. They're terrible from college. He had all the physical tools. He needed someone to work with him on mechanics and footwork and look and then you get him an incredible wide receiver, and then Cole Beasley plays lights out, and he has this massive, massive year last year.
Yeah.
And so the small school, all the physical tools guy starts getting looked at more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see all these young quarterbacks, and it's go back to every draft, throughout the years, and you never have all the quarterbacks work out. Like you could maybe make an argument of like the year that Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and Phillip Rivers all got drafted in the first round.
Yeah, there's that year and 1983.
Who is it? Was that Elway?
It was Elway, Marino.
Marino, yeah.
Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? I'm pretty sure it was the Bills. Jim Kelly.
Okay, yeah.
We were all drafted in the same year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
the reality is just a lot of these first round quarterbacks are going to have huge expectations on them, and some of them will be able to rise to that. Some of them went to bad teams, right? Like one of the reasons that probably Trey Lance is in the best situation of them all is just because it's a well coached team. It's a good roster around him. But like you can't say the same for Zach Wilson and the Jets, like though it's a new coaching staff. Trevor Lawrence, you don't know what you're getting with the Jaguars and a coach that's never played at the NFL or coached at the NFL level. You look at the Bears, Matt Nagy at times looks like a great coach, but the Bears do have other question marks.
I look back to the draft when Trubisky went, Watson, Patrick Mahomes, and I can't remember who went number 1 that year. Who was number 1 that year? Because he went before Trubisky. But you know what? Kansas City had Alex Smith.
Yeah.
They let Alex Smith play. They play Mahomes one garbage game at the end of the year. See what they have. But the thing about the game's so different now that you almost need to leave them on the bench for a year just for them to see how the speed of the game goes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because even Patrick Mahomes said, I don't think he could read defenses until last year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And so these guys need some time.
So just, it was Myles Garrett went number 1 overall that year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't a quarterback. So,
yeah.
Not a bad football player.
No. It's always interesting. Actually, this is a pretty decent draft class, but like, look at the players that went before Mahomes. You had Myles Garrett, Mitchell Trubisky, Solomon Thomas, Leonard Fournette, Corey Davis, Jamal Adams, Mike Williams, Christian McCaffrey, John Ross for the Bengals. You know what? People aren't hard on the Bengals enough that they pick John Ross over Patrick Mahomes.
But you know what? When we leave out one player, so we talk a lot about Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson just came off winning a national championship at Clemson.
Yeah.
And he went 10th.
12th.
Or 12th, sorry. He went 12th.
Yeah.
We don't bash the Bears enough.
Yeah.
They literally traded up to get Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you didn't need a quarterback, Jamal Adams, fantastic football player. If you didn't need a quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, lights out football player. Just fantastic.
And did the Titans have Tannehill at that point in time then?
No, because that was 4 years ago.
Because they took Corey Davis.
Yeah. Can you tell me who the Titans quarterback was? Oh, they still had the Hawaiian kid that plays in Oakland now, Mariota.
Oh yeah, it was Marcus.
They probably were only 2 years in with Marcus Mariota,
right.
Who went. Didn't they pick him like top 5?
He was the number 2 behind Goff.
Yeah. See,
yeah.
So we could, but the Rams haven't had a first-round pick since Goff, so we can't really say much about that.
Wait, no, sorry. My apologies. Wentz came after Goff. Mariota was the year before that. Who was it?
I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, because it was Goff and then Wentz. I'm getting mixed up here.
Yeah.
Mariota was it's someone else. Oh, it was Jameis Winston. Yep.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, because it was Winston and Mariota were the same draft. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was 2015.
But you know what? Let's look at that here, right?
He was second overall.
Winston and Mariota, first 2 picks, quarterbacks of the team, of the draft. They're on new teams right now.
Yep.
You
know what? Amari Cooper's on a new team.
Yep.
Is Brandon Scherf still in Washington? Isn't he on a new team?
I could not tell you.
Okay, Leonard Williams is on a new team.
Yep.
Kevin White with the Bears. Is he even in the league?
I don't think he's in the NFL anymore.
Okay. Vic Beasley went – I think he left Atlanta this year, I thought, and went to somewhere else. Or was that last year? He's not on Atlanta anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so, yeah.
Todd Gurley's not with the Rams anymore.
Nope.
Wow.
But,
and Gordon's not with the Chargers. Devontae Parker's still with the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And
it proves our point, though, of out of all these top draft picks, there's a very good chance they don't work out, right?
There is 100% good chance they don't work. I mean, so I think the draft is such a difficult thing too, because you have guys that are so dominant in college for certain reasons, and then get to the NFL and they just can't do it. They can't play in the NFL because, that's why because everybody talks about the metrics at the combine and this and that, and it's almost like, what do you go by? Do you go by metrics at the combine? Do you go by game film? Or do you go by sort of a mixture of both, or what you see? Because sometimes when you're watching game film, it's, the competition's not as good. Or, the talk of Alabama all the time. Well, they have, 7 first-rounders on the team every year. So is it because they're all so good? There's all these different things thrown out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you know what, Chris? We've had a pretty quiet chat tonight, even though we do have people watching, which is really cool, and I appreciate everyone watching. But we do have a question come in here from Diego Sosa. Diego, thank you so much for being here tonight. And he asks, do you guys think Zach Wilson will be a bust? I never want to wish bad against a young player whose dream has been the NFL. But I'd say out of all the all 5 of the quarterbacks that got taken in the first round this year, he's the one I'm most skeptical about, just because he's going to an unproven situation in the New York Jets. He's going to the New York media market, which is going to eat him alive every day if he doesn't handle it correctly. And just he didn't have the same like college career that these other quarterbacks had.
And I don't know if I somehow stumbled upon this because it was an actual like a national media picked up on it. But his mom, have you heard about his mother?
No.
Oh, you've got to check her out on, like, I don't know, she's on Instagram. She's on like she is making a mess for this kid because she is very outspoken, not about football, just about a bunch of other stuff.
Well, like political or?
You know what? I don't normally I don't watch. I've seen one. I watched one or read one, and I was like, I just can't watch people like that. She was talking about some Karen, and she was swearing at her, and this and a rant, and I don't even know what it was about. But because she popped up on Twitter again yesterday through a national writer, because Zach Wilson has offered her money to get off social media, and so he has this other outside affecting him so much. So he has all this pressure, everything you said, right? He's going to New York. They're not a good team. He didn't have the same credentials as a lot of other quarterbacks had, right? Because he's coming from BYU. The New York media is brutal.
Yeah.
Right? So this kid is going to endure a lot, and then he has to worry about what his mom's saying.
And now that means that he's probably been putting up with his mom his whole life, right? But yeah.
Sure, but nobody probably knew who she was until they put her on the red carpet at the draft. Yeah. And then she made one national media, like the national media picked her up for this rant.
Yeah.
And now she probably has, I would say she's got way more followers than she did before. So now it is more of an issue. Before it was like, yeah, okay, my friends think you're probably a little bit crazy or something, but it's not a big deal. It's kept in my friends group and blah, blah, blah. We've dealt with it our whole lives. But now when you have national media picking up, and now you have because I'm Canadian, right? So as a football fan, it's coming to Canada, what she's doing. So, now you're in North America. So, this poor guy, I just don't think he's set up for success. I hope he does, because these guys have the amount of effort and the amount of work that they put in to be the player they are is
a lot.
The average person doesn't do it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's terrible for all these guys that have worked so hard their whole lives that can't make it or don't make it. But something like this to interfere is awful.
Yeah. Well, and I will give a shout out to the Jets. I had NYJ Today, a YouTuber, on my channel for Moof, and he said the Jets have made some strategic signings that they normally wouldn't in the past under a previous management. Yeah. So it could be that organization that's been bad for a long time.
Yep.
I believe in Saleh as a coach, and he looks to be the CEO type of coach. Like, he's not even calling plays on defense. He's inputting his scheme and things like that. But he's very much going to be someone that oversees the operation of a game day crew. And so maybe with a new coaching, and they brought in a lot of new talent, maybe this is something they should have a better offensive line than they did last year, because they really couldn't get much worse. And the other thing, this was a really interesting thing. Jameson Crowder, probably the only kind of name player they had on offense, really, besides Le'Veon Bell last year. Yeah, he actually took a pay cut to stay with the Jets,
which is, good for him. If he, but some guys just love where they're at, where they play, right? He might just love New York, and maybe, why go somewhere else, right? Because unless, I don't know.
When I saw that headline, that like at first I thought the Jets were ripping Jameson Crowder off, but it was actually a really interesting deal that you rarely see in the NFL, where Jameson Crowder is taking a pay cut in order so that he can get paid later, probably.
Yeah.
But it's still like it definitely helped the Jets out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need people like that, though.
Mm.
Like you need guys that are willing to take less to stick around and play because they believe in it or they just like being there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a couple other comments coming in here. Is Only Vibes, welcome to the stream. So glad you're here. He is saying, how do you think Trevor Lawrence will do this year? And I am it's tough. You know what? I'm going to bring up the Jaguars schedule here. I have not done a prediction on the Jaguars. I'm still looking for a Jaguars fan for my move series. But I'm curious what we'll bring up the ESPN one here because it's nice to say. So I'm gonna go here.
I think this question too is, what's a quarterback's best friend, right? Running game is one thing that really, really helps a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a really good running back down there in Robinson who had a very good year last year.
And they drafted a running back.
And who did they take in this year's draft?
Well, Lawrence, and then they drafted a running back.
You know what?
Also.
That's right. They took the Clemson running back.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's going to be good.
Yeah. So let's look at this here. So I think they can start off 1-0 in Trevor Lawrence's career.
100%.
With Houston.
Yeah.
It's always tough with a new coaching. They have a lot of new players also. So, it's a home game. I don't see them beating Denver.
No, they're going to go on a bit. Well, yeah, Denver will be tough for them. Arizona, they're not going to beat.
Yeah, so they're 1-3. Yeah. Cincinnati on a short week.
That is I see. Cincinnati to me picked the wrong player in the first round. They needed to go offensive tackle.
Yeah. Well, I think they can beat Cincinnati. I'm actually excited for that game. Jaguars versus Bengals.
It's a good game.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll give them the win there. So they're 2-2. They're not beating the Titans.
No.
I don't think they're beating the Dolphins.
No, I had the Dolphins winning that game on the move series. So
yeah,
I'll stick to my pick. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, that's over in London. Yeah. So they're 2-4. They're not beating Seattle. They're not beating Buffalo. They're not beating the Colts. I don't see them beating the Niners. So, you're at 2-10, 2-8.
Yeah. Atlanta, maybe.
I don't see them beating the Falcons.
No, I think it'll be very, very tough.
Yeah, that could be a good game, but I'm not giving it to them. They're not beating the Rams. They're not beating the Titans. Maybe they split with the Texans.
I think I think they beat the Texans again. I honestly have no faith in the Texans.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. So we have them at 3 wins. Jets.
Yeah,
4, and then I don't see them beating New England or the Colts.
No. So also because I don't think a rookie quarterback has ever beaten Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And so I can't see it happening now. But four wins, I could see them beating the Jets. I mean, I don't see the Jets having a tremendous year either.
Yeah. So is the floor for the Jaguars in Trevor Lawrence's rookie season 2 wins and the ceiling 4 wins? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty logical.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Trevor's going to get a lesson in losing in the regular season that he's never had before.
That's very true. Yes. Yeah. Question of the day from North Dallas 40. And I actually have a quick question, North Dallas 40, before we get to this. Is Chris, have you seen the football film North Dallas 40?
I seen it. I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah, because in my earlier stream this week, North Dallas 40 asked me if I hadn't seen it. I need to see it. And North Dallas 40, it is definitely on my to-do list. Because his name is based off of this football film, and it's from I think the 70s.
Yes,
but it looked like a really good film. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
I'll have to check that one out too.
But anyway, so he's saying question of the day: besides AD, Jalen, and Stafford, who is the best Rams player? So I'm gonna give my answer, and Chris, I would love for you as a unbiased Dolphins fan to give your answer to this. There's so many players I could put here. I'm going to say, a part of me wants to say Andrew Whitworth as a left tackle, but I'm actually going to say Robert Woods as our wide receiver. I just think he's such a stud. He's consistent. He's got magic hands. He catches everything thrown his way. He creates space. He can run the entire route tree. So that's who I would say. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, there's a couple, but I'll mostly offensive, right? Because that's sort of when you're not watching the other, we know the defense on the Rams is great. Who's the best Rams player?
Besides
I'm a Cooper Kupp fan.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's a solid player, but do you know who I think might be your best this year? Is Akers.
Yeah, okay.
Cam Akers, I think, is going to have a very, very, very good year.
Yeah.
You now have a quarterback that can throw, so they can't stack the box. You're going to have to let this kid run a bit, and so he might be your surprise best player on the Rams.
Yeah, and I know there's some Ram fans that think that Cam Akers can have a Todd Gurley, like 2016, 2017 Todd Gurley type of season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Because you're set up nicely on offense too, right?
Yeah. And then North Dallas 40 is also asking, what is the Rams' weakest position? And Chris, I don't expect you to know this.
I'm out on this one.
Yeah, no, I think myself and many other Rams fans would say it's center. Some would argue linebacker. More and more as I look into our linebacking core, I don't believe that's the case. I think that we're still unproven, because we have a camp battle for our center position. So I would say center is probably the weakest position there. But yeah, it's hopefully we have young players that are competing for that, and it looks like Austin Corbett's going to be the one that wins it, and he came over in a trade with the Browns a couple of years ago. So yeah, we're hoping that the Rams will be a complete team. But thanks for your question, North Dallas 40. Always a pleasure. Only Vibes, he's saying Darius Williams as the Rams' best player. Yeah, a great corner, doesn't get enough love because of Jalen Ramsey hogging all the headlines. But yeah, Darius Williams is a very good corner. Yeah. North Dallas 40 is saying, which NFL team will be the biggest surprise and biggest letdown this year? Ooh. The biggest surprise team and the biggest letdown team this year. That's a really good. Well, let's start with biggest surprise first. Chris, who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise team?
That's a tough question. That I think I would actually have to do a little bit of research on, just because. But off the top of my head, who will be the biggest surprise team? Because usually we go surprise, right? So they were a 4-win team last year. They're going to be an 11-win team this year. Mm-hmm. So the first team that came into my head, honestly, was for both of them. Yeah. They could be the biggest surprise. They could also be the biggest letdown, depending on how you look at it. And this is the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So the Dallas Cowboys were 1-3 last year when Dak got hurt. Defense wasn't great, but they addressed that in the draft. You've got your second year with the systems, with Mike McCarthy there. There's high expectations for them. They're not in a great division, right? I think their division isn't it's not great. So there's a lot of people thinking they're going to be really good. So they could be the biggest letdown team. But I think there's a lot of people that don't think they're as good as they think they are. So that could also be like they could be a surprise team in the sense that, wow, they win 12 games this year or 13. So, yeah, just off the top of my head, I would say the Cowboys for both.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think I'm going to say biggest surprise team as like, wow, they made the playoffs somehow.
Yeah.
I actually think it's going to be the Washington football team. And I know a lot of people will pick them to maybe win that division, but I actually think this might be the year that like the team with the QB carousel, which will be the Washington football team, and they'll have Heineke, they'll have Allen, and they'll have Fitzpatrick at different times throughout the season. I could see them putting some points on that board. I mean, that's a receiving core that's underrated with Terry McLaurin. Gibson as a running back is great. They have some young O-linemen that I think, again, are ready to develop. But the big thing for them, that defense, they're going to steal some games with that defense. And Chase Young is a beast. He is the real deal. So I think they're going to be the biggest surprise. And the biggest letdown, and I know I'm going to get some heat for this, I think the biggest letdown next year will be the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Chargers have a lot of hype. We've seen teams with this much hype before, and Herbert obviously looked phenomenal last year, but he didn't win that many games, and like they lost. And I feel like this has been the Chargers narrative for so many years, even before Herbert, of they lose by one score, like more than any other team. And I know they have a new coaching staff. They took Brandon Staley away from the Rams to be the head coach there. But I look at the Chargers and they just seem like a making of a team that will underachieve.
I read an interesting thing the other day about, because I know the talk is Herbert and all these things about him, but someone had said he had the most stats because they're behind all the time. Yeah. So you look at him and he's just slinging it because he has to, right?
Yeah.
So how's he going to be if the game's close?
Yeah.
Like how's he going to be against good defenses? I watched that guy. So there was a few quarterbacks last year that played the Miami Dolphins defense, and Jared Goff was one of them. Herbert was another one. Even the receiver said we had no idea what they were doing, and Herbert was clueless out there, right?
Yeah.
And so there were certain games where he looked completely like a rookie and someone that didn't know what they were doing. And then he had some other games, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that get a lot of stats from behind.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
I can see the Chargers being – I can definitely see the Chargers being a letdown team and, winning 5-6 games again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see – well, like even look at like the Texans last year. Deshaun Watson was the passing leader in the year. But they were a 4-win team.
Yeah. Well, he was the passing leader because they threw the ball every play in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'll be curious to see what happens with the Chargers. But yeah, North Dallas 40, you're rocking the questions as always. Big, I appreciate you so much. He's saying with 17 games, what NFL record could be broken? He's joking. He's gonna say quarterback turnovers by Jared Goff, and you know why. He does fumble the ball a lot and throw the ball, to the other team a lot. So yeah, maybe Jared Goff's on record for the most turnovers by a quarterback in one season.
Yeah, I wonder if a passing record breaks for yardage.
Again, there's always going to be that asterisk of like, oh, this was a 17 game. It used to be 16 game, things like that. So like, I think like the rushing title is up for grabs. I think You have the passing, absolutely. You know what? But I think probably more interesting is like, can the sack record finally be broken? Like Michael Strahan's record's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like they've had people get close to it. Like Donald's been close to it. And I remember there was someone else who got really close to it another year. I forget who. I want to say it was JJ Watt. Yeah, it was JJ Watt.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, like maybe the sack record gets broken.
Maybe the thing is about these, we talk asterisks and we say the records, it's impossible to compare. We'll take passing, for instance, a 5,000 yard passing year in the 80s to now. Because if you've ever watched a football game from the 80s, those cornerbacks literally molested wide receivers down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, not one of them could play in today's NFL because flags would be thrown on every single play.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's some records that you look back or that are broken now, but you look back at the years some of these guys had and go, wow, like that guy could throw the ball. Or, even rushing records, things like that. I think the NFL is a lot more penalty happy now.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I wonder, the sack record could be involved in that too, but that'd be nice to see though.
Yeah.
That's a record I'd like to see. Not because I like Strahan actually a lot, but it'd be nice to see someone get 20 some odd sacks.
Yeah.
Like it would just be exciting, right?
Yeah, I think the record is 22 and a half sacks.
Yes.
Yeah, because Aaron Donald, I believe, got 20 and a half sacks in one of his seasons.
Wow.
And, he was really cllose to it. But
more impressive from an interior lineman.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like those guys usually get 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how incredible that guy is.
I'm so happy.
I mean, you know what? As a Rams fan, you would have to be over the moon that you ended up with this guy.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of the few things I thank Jeff Fisher for.
The 8-8 king.
Yeah, I wish he would have gone 8-8 with the Rams. He was always 7-9 or less with us. But anyway, thank you for the question, North Dallas 40. That was great. Diego Sosa is asking, will the Browns or the Ravens win the AFC North next year? Great question. Chris, if you don't mind, I'm going to start off on this one.
Go ahead.
There is an argument, I think, that the Browns are the better team. However, because the Ravens maybe not be the better overall team, they have more star players. And I'm mainly talking about comparing Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. But I also think like Marcus Peters on the Ravens defense is a corner. Then again, the Browns have Myles Garrett, and maybe I'm just not used to the Browns having star players. So
then you go to the next comment, because they have Clowney now too, right?
Yeah.
Why is Clowney getting all the hype? He had 0 sacks last year.
Yep.
I will say one thing about Clowney. Yeah, he didn't have any sacks. Before he got hurt, though, he had a lot of quarterback pressure.
Yep.
And so he never quite got there, but I think that's a stat we fail to look at as well for defensive ends.
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly pressuring the quarterback, the guy on the other side is going to get a one-on-one all the time, right? Because you're going to have double the guy who's always pressuring the quarterback. But I agree. I'm not sure if Clowney's as good as he used to be, but
yeah.
Yeah,
no. And this question came in from Jake. Jake, thanks so much for the question and for watching. And I love your little comment here of fresh takes. Can't talk. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fresh face, fresh takes.
Well, I can say one thing on the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately won't pick them to win until they actually win something. Because until then, they still are the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. And you know what? Sorry, we got on a tangent, but to answer Diego's question, I agree. I think the Ravens will win this division.
Yeah.
But you know what, Chris, this has been a blast. I love talking football with you. Everyone who's watching, thank you so much for all of your comments. I'm just so thankful. I will not have a Sunday live stream tomorrow because I am playing in a bocce ball tournament, which I'm excited about. And but Chris, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. And I'm really excited for the NFL season to get here. So June headlines.
Thanks for having me on, Zach. I can't wait. It's about 25 days till training camp.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Peo Tam and Chris. Peace and out.